Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Focal Points, a McCullough Foundation live stream. Today we have a very interesting guest who will share her very disturbing story in the hospital. We have Jill. Jill has joined us today, and she is a transplant patient, and she has experienced severe, horrible discrimination for refusing to take an experimental gene transfer product. And so she's here to tell us her story. And we're also joined now by a brand new McCullough Foundation scholar, Mila Radetich. So she joins us for the first time as well today. And so, Mila, I want you to take it over here. And Jill, tell us what happened. Give us your story. This is very important.
Yes, absolutely. And again, thank you for having me. Now, I went through years of suffering with the Cleveland University Hospital due to their vaccine policy. When I was 14 years old, I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis. And within 2 weeks of being diagnosed, I was in need of a liver transplant. And by the good grace of God, I received a donor, and my donor was my mother, who gave me half of her transplant, half of her liver. Fast forward 22 years later, I was in need of a second liver transplant at the age of 36. Now, before I received my second transplant, I needed a biliary tube in my stomach, in my liver, 3.5 years before I actually received my second transplant. The reason why I needed a biliary tube was because the autoimmune hepatitis shriveled up my bile ducts. So in order for me to even survive, I needed this tube. Now, this tube was needed to be exchanged every 6 to 8 weeks in order to avoid infection. And at that time is when I went through absolute hell. Now, when I would have to get my tube exchanged, I would be lectured at every single level by doctors, nurses, staff, and they would ask me, why are you not vaccinated? What is wrong with you? Why are you being so selfish? And why are you putting other people's lives in danger by being selfish and not being vaccinated? Now, eventually, I was treated with absolute disgust. And I even had a doctor right before my tube exchange sit me down and say, Jill, no other doctor wants to do this tube exchange, and I am doing you a favor. Now, during that time, I went through the 3.5 years, I went through anywhere between 45 to 50 tube exchanges, 16 to 18 blood transfusions, and anywhere between 60 to 70 times I was admitted into the hospital during that 3.5 years before my transplant. Now, when I was admitted into the hospital, they actually put me in a special section of the unvaccinated. So during that time, they would interact with me through an intercom if I ever needed anything. If they needed to give me any kind of medicine, they would put on a hazmat suit and put my medicine across the room from me. They gave me the bare minimum treatment that they could give legally. And when I would go see my actual liver transplant doctor, it was required for him to see me once a month. He refused to see me. He saw me maybe once every 3 months in order to put the pressure on me to get vaccinated. I even tried to have a substitute vaccine that didn't have as many side effects. And he threw the paperwork at me, yelled at me, then apologized. And then he said, "You can tell that I had to deal with a patient before you and have the same talk with them." So I feel if somebody has gone through, if I've gone through what I've gone through with a hospital, with the vaccine policy, then that there are other people that are also going through the same thing that I went through.
Wow, you have gone through so much and showed such incredible strength. It's amazing that you've come this far and have continued to fight. Could you tell me a little bit more about your experience? Were you forced to get the vaccine? Were you coerced? What was the situation?
Absolutely. I was originally put on the vaccine, or I'm sorry, I was originally put on the transplant list. And I was actually given a letter after so many months, and once they had to pass the vaccine policy, I was given a letter stating that I was taken off the transplant list. And in order for me to get back on to the transplant list, I had to get the Pfizer shot. And they would have let me die because I waited and I fought this policy for years, and they just did not care. They did not care to give me an alternative vaccine with less side effects. They just said, if you do not get this vaccine, you will die. And they were more worried about the fact of me not being vaccinated and me infecting them than they were about me getting a liver transplant and surviving from that transplant. They would have let me die.
Well, that does not make much sense considering vaccines do not stop transmission of the disease. So that is a completely illogical response or reason for you to be forced to get the vaccine to get back on the transplant list.
Mm-hmm.
That is so sad. Can you tell me, did you get the transplant, first of all? And are you experiencing side effects from the vaccine now?
I did end up taking the Pfizer shot at the very last minute because I really tried to fight this vaccine policy for years. So I did get it at the last minute. I did receive my second transplant. And now I am experiencing side effects. I've brought these side effects to my transplant doctor, and he has no explanation of why I'm experiencing the things that I am. He seems to be baffled, and he has no explanation. And I've been on the same medicine that I've been on for the last 24 years. I'm 38 now, so I'm on the same exact medicine. So there's no reason of why I should be experiencing the side effects that I'm experiencing.
Wow. How did it feel that the doctors are not giving you any answer and their medical negligence of your conditions? That is truly unbelievable. It's certainly not what they sign up to do when they become doctors. What is your stance on that?
It makes me sad because a doctor should be there for your health and should be there for the patient. And to put a vaccine in front or in order for somebody's life to be saved, is ridiculous. And this hospital, this Cleveland University hospital, this is my second transplant from this hospital. And unfortunately, I've been in this hospital so many times and had so many visits that I'm a very well-known person. If they don't know my face, they know my name. So it makes me sad that I've received 2 transplants from the same hospital, and I'm well known there due to that reason. And they were still willing to put a COVID vaccine policy ahead of my health, my life, and they were willing to let me die. So it makes me extremely sad, especially over a vaccine that didn't have that much research, didn't have that much data backed up, but they were still adamant to put the vaccine before somebody's health.
Yeah, before someone's life even.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely crazy what the hospital put you through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's truly amazing to see you here now. What symptoms are you experiencing? Do you believe they're from the vaccine? Do you believe, and what would your reasoning be?
I do believe it's because I was forced to take the Pfizer shot. Again, I brought this up to my transplant doctor, and he seems to be baffled of why I'm having these side effects. I believe it's from the vaccine that I was forced to take. And the reason why I think that is because I didn't have these side effects before I had my transplant and before I was forced to take the vaccine. So I experienced things of being very easily tired. One of the biggest things I struggle with is shortness of breath, and it's hard for me to breathe. And when I say this, I mean walking up the stairs and feeling like I ran a marathon. And another thing I really struggle with are body aches. And once again, when I say body aches, I mean, I wake up in the morning and I feel like I either worked out for 8 hours straight or I was beaten with a bat all night. So they're severe side effects. They're not just, tiredness and body aches, and they're severe to where they actually interfere with my life. And it's very hard I'm very forgetful. There's times I can be in the middle of a sentence and forget everything that I'm saying. And with my age, I shouldn't be forgetting what I'm saying, or I forget the meaning of certain words and I have to sit there and I have to remember what I was saying or the meaning of the word. And so it's severe to the side effects that I am experiencing.
I can relate to you there. Being vaccine injured myself, I experienced a lot of the same symptoms as you. And those are debilitating. They interfere with your day-to-day life. It is so difficult to find a way to move through them. And then also have, for you, pre-existing health conditions that you're already dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think the doctors should be searching for the root cause? If it isn't the vaccine, shouldn't they have an idea or at least be researching, oh, well, she's experiencing all these severe symptoms. What else could it be? What are the other variables that changed? Let's take a look at lifestyle, medication, all the things that could potentially help figure out what's going on. Doesn't seem that they're doing that. And that's very unfortunate and shows what the medical profession is starting to become. Do you know if the hospital still has a mandatory vaccination policy there?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure whether they still have that policy in place, but I would assume so.
Yes. And as for your transplant, I'm happy it went well. Do you think you're going to have to come into contact with this hospital again for checkups in the future? And do you think they're going to push for another dosage?
That's a great question because I actually just happened to see them maybe a month or so ago. And my transplant doctor just recently retired. So I now have a new doctor that oversees all my medicine, my doctor's appointments, and so forth. And that was one of the first things whenever she introduced herself and, told me a little bit about her background. That was one of the first things that she said was that she wants me to get the updated vaccines, to be sure to keep up to date with that. And I told her that's not something I'm interested in, nor will I do. But she didn't have very much to say after I kind of shut that down. But that was one of the first things that she told me that she wanted me to do, was to keep updated with the vaccine, and that it was one of the requirements that that they force people who have transplants to do. But they can't force somebody who's already had a transplant. They can't take my liver back.
Yes. Wow. I can't imagine what their reasoning would be for forcing another dosage of vaccines, especially after you had a potential reaction.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Gosh, it is also incredibly brave for you to share your testimony. I know how it can affect your reputation, how people see you. Have you experienced any social dilemmas or being ostracized for refusing the vaccine? Even being in the situation that you were, where you needed it. You needed the transplant.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would see just simple things. Social media, somebody would have some sort of story of what they were actually going through. And if I responded to their story, I would get people that were so vile and that would attack me in every way of why I needed to be vaccinated and how I needed to take care of my liver. And the reason why, you were forced to get the shot in order to get a transplant was so that they know that you would take care of the liver. I've heard it all by family members. I've heard it on social media. I've gotten it from just about every direction. And, their opinions are not my opinions, because if a government is forcing you to take a vaccine, then in my opinion, there's something just not right.
Have you gone after and tried anything to potentially detox from the vaccine to see if that would help?
I have. I've taken a few things, all natural. And I actually just got my blood work done maybe about a week ago to see if I tested positive for the spike protein, and I did test positive. So the natural supplements that I was trying to clear my system with apparently are not working. But I did test positive, and I have tried, and that's basically probably my next step, is just to keep doing research to see what I can do in order to detox from this COVID shot and go from there.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of bravery to say this out loud, and it's certainly something to be proud of, that you have made it this far, not only with the transplant, but being injured from the vaccine. If Nicholas is still around, I wonder if he has any further questions for you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So, wow. I mean, that's such a shocking story. And it's people like you, Jill, that speak out and tell the world, what actually happens, because this is what actually happens, right? This isn't made up. This isn't fake, right? And this has happened to so many other people as well that are afraid to speak out. And so your voice kind of amplifies those who are too nervous or, don't want to lose their jobs, etc. But yeah, we really do thank you for coming on and sharing your story It's very, very important. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our audience before we close out today?
I don't think so. Stick to, how you feel, and don't ever have somebody, the government, force you into something that you feel in your heart that you don't need or that you're not supposed to take. Unfortunately, the vaccine, it affects some people, and it affected others a lot, and then it affected others and it rocked their world. And unfortunately, I was one of those people that it rocked my world. And so just stick with your heart, and don't take something that the government is forcing you to take. That's about it.
Yes, that's a great, great final message. Mila, you have anything else? Any other questions?
No, just thank you for having the courage to share your story. I bet there's it will help other people that are too scared to speak out about their own experiences, and hearing yours hopefully will help them come out and seek maybe even treatment for what they might need. I wish you luck in your treatment and in figuring out how to detox and how to reverse the symptoms you are experiencing. You're truly so brave for going through all of this and still coming out and fighting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. And actually, Mila, are there any questions on the right here? It looks like we have some questions from the audience. Are there any that stand out to you? I can't really see them from my screen here.
No. I believe I was reading them as this live stream is going on and integrating them into the questions that I did ask.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. All right, well, for the audience watching, any more questions? Do you have any more questions for us? We're about to close out here, so if you want to ask them now. And we'll give another minute for any questions. But Jill, which vaccines did you receive? Which brand?
I received the Pfizer vaccine.
Pfizer vaccine. Did you get 2 doses?
I did. I believe my first one was 22, and then my second was 10/2/2022. So I even experienced side effects after my first one, but they weren't that extreme. But after the second one is when the side effects really seemed to hit me the most.
Did the side effects from the first dose continue and then you think maybe amplify with the second?
They did, absolutely. And again, I was so sick at that time that I think the combination probably really put me over because I was so sick. Then I had the vaccine, which caused the headaches, it caused the breathlessness, and it caused the tiredness and so forth. But then, and because I think I got them so close together as well, the second one just rocked my world. So. And I believe it was maybe 2 or 3 months after the second dose is when I had my transplant.
Well, we're very thankful you're still here with us today. Very thankful. And to those doctors that shamed you or made you feel bad or like what you were saying wasn't true, those appear to be very bad physicians, right? To be pushing an experimental product and not listening to their patients. It's a very bad thing. So we've got a few more questions in, it looks like. So let's see here. We have Laura. Laura asked a question. What blood test do you give to test for the spike protein? Well, I can answer this one. So right now the test that's given is actually the spike protein antibody test by LabCorp. It actually sees how many antibodies has your body produced against the spike protein. It serves as a proxy for approximate spike protein burden in the body. Right now, we don't have any commercially available spike protein tests at the moment, thanks to the FDA, who for some reason doesn't want to approve those. So yeah, right now we have to rely on those antibody tests. You can even order it online now directly through the LabCorp website. Okay. All right, Jill and Mila, thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Of course. Thank you.